welcome to week number 1 of our coverage of the 7th Mario Maker Celebration 7MMC, the successor project to the YMM series that we've featured completely in the past, all the way from Mario Maker 1 to 2, though not necessarily in that order. We have 8 levels to present this week, and the level codes as well as the animated trailer for them are included on the official website that I'm going to link in the chat. And we'll be using the order presentation there as our reference for the order in which these levels that launched earlier today have been packaged. Now, just as a bit of an administrative preamble, people who are my regulars on the stream will note that this is usually our viewer level slot, but there's actually a pretty significant overlap between our regular viewers and the people who have contributed to this project. A lot of makers who will want to see their newest and proudest creations displayed anyhow. So we've decided to move 7MMC into this slot, at least this week and probably following weeks as well. We'll pick another day to run a full open queue as we've done before, probably on the Friday night, Saturday morning stream, but that will be determined, and we'll post about that on the Discord. Without further ado though, let's get to the first level. The Bros are back in town. Kind of a perfect, thematically, the perfect introduction to what's going on this year with the anniversary anthology under new management and organization, but with a lot of familiar faces. Like Deft Spies, a maker familiar to us through many creations in the past, best known in Mario Maker 2 for a lot of music auto-scrollers like what we're about to see here, including the Celeste level in 4YMM and the Safety Dance level last year, but who also, by the way, in Maker 1 made a fantastic Cape Feather puzzle. I believe that was in 2YMM, but I may be mistaken. The description on the website reads as follows. In March of 1976, the Irish hard rock band Thin Lizzy released their 6th studio album, Jailbreak. This album included a single, The Boys Are Back in Town, which went on to become Thin Lizzy's biggest US hit and won the 1976 NME Award for Best Single. In August of 2022, the Mario Maker Celebration project released an announcement trailer. That trailer included a throwaway line referencing Thin Lizzy. This is the level that was made because of that throwaway line. Featuring Kathy Beath on the drums. Now, it's fairly typical for all of these anniversary levels to have some kind of secret room attached. Whoop. That was a bad idea. I feel like we needed to use the bomb all the way at the end over there. And Mario, welcome. So it looks like here, our optional objective will be to clear the level from the start while retaining a key. So all the way straight through without the use of the checkpoint. So we'll learn it, but we'll definitely want to go for the optional content whenever possible. We've been completionists in the past when it comes to the YMM project, and the MMC project should certainly be treated no differently. A little slow on the POWs on my end perhaps, but we'll hit the poison mushroom and that'll be the end of that attempt. And Mario, this year it will not be a hidden birthday cake, it will instead be a celebration balloon, so people aren't spending tons of entities on building candles for 7 years of celebration. And also just to give the project a bit of a different visual identity. Since it is MMC rather than YMM this year, even though the principle is very similar. Whoops, no. I didn't mean to run off the edge there. I wanted to take the bomb up with me and hit Boom Boom on top, such that we can run straight through him. So yeah, a lot of the returning makers, of course, will be stylistically familiar, but there will be a couple of new surprises this year. Some level styles that were not featured in the YMM projects in the past. There's going to be a bit of a different focus to the level curation and judging. Nugukaza spent almost all of his entities on balloon art in your level. Yeah, rightly so. Very meta to bring Nugukaza into the balloon-themed project, by the way. Given that he's the balloon man. The Montgolfier of Mario Maker. Whoops. Anyway, let's do that. And for those wondering, New Kaza is featured in week 1. We're going to get to that later on, hopefully with the maker still in attendance. Yeah, but the intention is to find all of the secrets that we can. I've done 100% in the Mario Maker 2 editions of YMM anyway. I didn't quite get 100% in 1, 2, and 3 YMM when I went back to Mario Maker 1 earlier in the year to play them. Because, of course, the levels back then didn't quite follow as much of a regular pattern when it came to secrets. I was obviously supposed to drop that and then hit the on-off switch and go through the door. Do let me know if audio is fine, by the way, because this is, of course, a music level, and it's very important that the audio is perfect. Nope, once again. Whether the player is perfect is a totally different question. Notice, too, that, as I said previously, we will need to replay this from start anyway to keep the key, but we're going to learn the level first, just in case there are any unfortunate surprises that I will need to practice. Anyway, on-off state switch on the music track, releasing a couple of additional instruments. We've seen this a lot from a bunch of auto-scroll music experts lately. And Death Despise is very much a regular in that community when it comes to music making. Nice to have that escape when I completely misjudge whether I still have the key, but the standard clear is going to be quite simple. The full clear might take a little bit more effort, so we will go back and try that again. Not much searching to be done for the secret in this particular instance. All we're going to do is survive and do the obvious thing. I'm sure there will be some secret hunts later on, some hard modes, some other things that will be required to obtain the birthday balloons, but it is week 1, it is curated with the intention of easing the player in. And here we go. Yeah, after a little while, this style of music level is kind of instantly recognizable. 7 MMCE in the text. Okay. Let's not mess this up this time. There we go. And up we go. Nice that you get behind that thwomp that's been chasing you all the way, and which was also relevant in the previous section. A really good reuse of that thwomp, actually. It's kind of a nice touch that you get your revenge on it at the very end, as if to say, whoops, I completely missed a key door. Okay, we need to do that again, because I was about to jump, and then I just held right a little too aggressively and missed a door, so that could have been done slightly better. And it's funny because on my first clear, I kind of needlessly went up to the key door just out of habit without even thinking about it. And here, we decided to demonstrate the sideways analog of the up pipe entry that is so notorious in this game. By inadvertently entering a horizontal pipe, as opposed to inadvertently not entering a vertical pipe. I'm sure there's some kind of structural similarity there. Some kind of rotated isomorphism. But we're not going to think too hard about that. That 10 coin, I think, was just being used as an instrument once you fired the POW. I don't think it was actually collectible, but I can be wrong about these things, so... I guess there was a track that was technically kind of a throw indicator. Luckily enough, it was subtle, and I barely even noticed it. Because often I find that indicators like that add too much clutter. But just as a very gentle line that could just as easily have been launching point for some other object. It was pretty well disguised. There we go. Okay. Well, these are for Mario and Luigi, I'm sure. And it's night theme, so going to have a bit of repulsion on the leaf. Now, however, if you went for frog first, would you have been able to get it? Oh, yep, there we go. On the parachute, it goes down to a point. Alright, let's try this one instead. Nope. I wonder if it is doable. I feel like we have to find out. This is not an acceptable outcome. But it might also be a massive troll. We're going to look at the screen and cheat a little bit to see if there was anything, I think. Although, no, it'll be in the subworld, so I don't think we actually can. Now, the thing is, I actually did see Depth of Spies do a kind of pre-upload play on this level yesterday. And it was not revealed as to whether the leaf was obtainable and whether you could fly up to something in that section. I feel like we're going to try that. We're going to try that at least once. And welcome, Mang and Luca. Luca being one of the other contributors to week 1. We're going to try that again just to see if I can plan out the frog plus leaf a little bit better and actually nudge into it. I don't know if it's going to be within the trajectory I need, but I feel like we have to try at least once. Particularly because it's not that difficult to get the key route here. And grounded hot air balloons somehow seem insufficient. Oh, whoops. Centrix, welcome. So, for the latecomers here, you'll notice that instead of viewer levels, we have switched this slot on the Saturday to Sunday stream to 7MMC. That decision was made in consideration of the fact that many of my regular viewers are contributors to this project anyway and will want to see their levels played. If we somehow miraculously finish very early, we can always queue in 1 or 2 at the end, but I'm not expecting that to be the case because I'm taking my time with things like secret hunts. But we'll see. Just given precedent in previous year's projects, which stylistically I understand are a little bit different, having one stream for each week's set is fairly normal. As long as we don't spend 2 hours at a time getting stuck on a Mang hard mode, stepping on Sonic all day. I don't think that was even the hardest one. I think Muncher Wave was the hardest one last year. Okay, so we need to plan this out. Frog has to go first. Then we have 3 opportunities at a leaf. This one I think is going to float up pretty much right away. This one, however... There we go. There we go. That's much better. Let's not run this way because I might accidentally enter the pipe. Hang on. Let's not accidentally enter the pipe. There we go. Much better. Much better. Look at that. YW, I guess you're welcome. Let's try it again. Okay. Or you win, perhaps. Or maybe it's just the first half of the Tetragrammaton. The sort of a substitute for the Hebrew name of God. Which, well, I mean, only one half of it. Which is totally sensible, because what is that story but one where a bro is back in town? Anyway, thank you for the GG. You're welcome. And let's take a look at the second level in this week's set. Second level is going to be by a maker who's been probably one of the more prominent makers to not be previously featured in 4 and 5 YMM. I don't recall if he was in one of the Maker 1 projects, but we're going to look at Kaito. Kaito is a maker I've played a bit of here and there in the past. He's extremely popular, very widely played. But it's been a while since I've looked at anything new from him, because we just haven't really kept up. So we'll see what Kaito is delivering this time in 7MMC Wacky Wheel Waltz, which is full of W's. The text of the description in the website is slightly longer by a few words. It says, "Wander into the warehouse to witness the weird white whirling wheels." And we'll do that. Look at how the design of the text is also kind of rotary. It goes 7MMC counterclockwise. Like it's also itself sort of to be read as it swirls around. Very important little detail. We pay attention to these things. Anyway, Wacky Wheel Waltz. Okay, one of my favorite themes in a game, of course, being 3D World and 3D World Ghost House, rather, the library. Well, I don't know if there's anything in particular to look at here with the shelving. I'm trying to decode what the block layout is saying, but I don't think it actually means anything. We got the coin. That's the important thing. 7CMM, 7MCM, whichever Roman numeral you're going for, basically. And we have a mushroom, not a required one, but one for just good old traditional platformers, by the looks of it. Now, we would have to displace that. Unless we can go above the semi-solids. I can't actually... No. Looking at the camera, we can't. So... But we can also kill that and just double tap the slow way. It'll be interesting to see a speedrunner's method for that kind of obstacle. See if they can get a nice quick double tap or triple tap. Anyway, 5 coins. We will, of course, be going for all of them. Whoops, nope, so much for that. Hope the mushroom isn't required for anything optional down the road. If it is, we'll have to replay it. Okay. Once again, just a lot of Pipas cycling about, and you have to use the pipe to cross over them because that totally defies actual 3D World logic. Okay, let's have a bounce. 7 counterclockwise Mario Maker. You see, that would almost be believable were it not for the fact that all of these guys actually do move clockwise. But I suppose if 7MMC is arranged the counterclockwise and you imagine it moving clockwise, then the 7 is kind of leading the trail, right? If it's rotating clockwise, then the 7 continues to be at the head of the string, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense? Anyway, down we go. And now we have this winged radial pattern. Pipas are so incredibly underused in this game that it's kind of neat to see some configurations used in tandem to create various effects like this that differ quite sharply from what you normally see with the blue rings in the other styles. Anyway, we're at 2 coins so far. We'll release the snake block. And nothing to push me down there, but ooh, now that's interesting. I guess that is done using... I want to say the blaster spawn, where you just kind of have a blaster doing a hyper fire. Can you do that? I actually don't know much about the Pipa and blaster interaction. But no, I think it actually just gets you into a location where there are these lower rings that have been spawned from a displaced spawn point. We'll have to look at that afterwards. I don't know what the mechanic is exactly, but I think there's a bit of blaster displacement going on as you saw them spawning in sequence. And we'll see something similar again here when we drop... Well, when we punch out this wall, perhaps. Okay. Now that's interesting. I guess we need to think about this a little further, because it looks like the semi-solids are placed in such a way that you can get in position to spawn something from the blasters. But we need to get up there and take a look. Oh, okay, no, yeah, you can get up here. And there was one additional tile up here that we could get to. But yeah, because look at how this blaster is actually open. I feel like we're supposed to crush something there. I was expecting to just crush the blasters, but that's obviously not the case. We'll rethink that a little bit. Okay, just watch this setup closely. Okay, yeah, you see, there's a series of blocks that spawns them. So yeah, it's just something activating a series of regular bricks. And it creates this wave effect because it's displaced in time as well as space as each of the Peepas spawn in sequence. So, really nice wave effect there. Okay, we're going to punch that out. So, look at these blasters here. It looks like they are currently blocked, and that they should be able to spawn off the top spot. Now, why would I want to punch the exclamation block over to this location? Because it looks like I would need to do some kind of entity disabling in order to open up a spot for this to fire. Right? Unless I'm just massively overthinking something, which is, to be fair, very often the case. Unless I also just didn't hit this enough. Ah, no, yeah, that's okay. I just didn't hit this enough because it was out of camera view. I should have noticed that, in fact, when the top left slot was open earlier, that I actually just hadn't hit the exclamation block enough. Okay, that's sensible. And yeah, look at this displacement. Very interesting pattern. This little curl that they do. Alright, poor little Skip Squeak doesn't jump very high. Let's drop in and see what's next. We're just going to slam it. And yeah, once again, you see the column of blocks over there. That is the activation point that gets all of these displaced in sequence. Just a very simple idea with a very impressive result that I don't think I'd really seen and done it this way before, partly because nobody really uses Peepas. It's one of the most forgotten elements in the game, I think. There have been very few uses of them that I think have really struck me as memorable, but certainly this will be one of them. Okay, and then yeah, you'd have to kind of do a little bit of a jump there to evade that, and then we have one coin remaining, which is presumably a safety coin. It is extremely mesmerizing, Centrix. 53 seconds. I suppose this is a survival indicator. I feel like I've seen a similar kind of indication scheme used in Kaito levels before, where he kind of flags in advance that you're in for a survival fight, which is an interesting way to communicate that. Okay, there's going to be something a little busy here. I guess it's purely just a dodging pattern until we survive long enough to get into the warp box. So, we'll need some short jumps. Possibly some high ones. And occasionally there will be a clear. And this will be a bit of a slow pattern, so for once the 3D World Squirrel will actually be useful. Maybe not that useful. You were getting some Peepa spawning formations when experimenting for your level, but you were kind of late. Yeah, I feel like there's still a lot that can be done with this mechanic. I think obviously this level is a huge showpiece for them, but there's enough flexibility to what you can do with their spawning locations and timings, and I'm sure there are some really interesting effects that can still be explored. In the same way that a lot of boo ring effects still feel pretty fresh when you see them nowadays. Whoop. I kind of chipped in the corner there. You know, just a good standard full jump does the trick over here. Okay, gonna get a little busy here now. Okay, actually is tuned with the expectation of just a Nice standard full jump. Okay, do we have a key yet? No, we don't. Oh, whoops. A little late on that one. Yeah, interesting that you have so many things going on with the blasters being loaded off screen. I don't know if the blasters are actually being recycled out the bottom into the left column, or if it's a sequence of other blasters that are activated. We can't tell that off screen, obviously, but if you were really short on entities, the way to potentially do it would be to do a kind of off-screen recycle where you loop it around a side and drop it back in. I don't know if that's the case, I'm just speculating. Obviously, entity limit is not really too much of an issue here. It's used for the blaster blocking, which might just easily be some other element. But the setups themselves are not very costly simply because the Peepas are being spawned from blocks that are being activated dynamically as the level loads in, so... Yeah, Nuku Kaza, it's kind of too bad that 3D World doesn't have the P-Balloon, because I feel like this would be kind of a P-Balloon object navigation challenge waiting to happen. Too bad it doesn't really have anything that even equivalent to the P-Balloon, because you can imagine what kind of things you could do with flying obstacles like these. Very nice, look at this thing here. Takes a little bit of pre-placement to get it to work so well, but it's got this really bubbly cartoonishness to it that I think is very invigorating. I bet we can pick up coin 5 and drop in there and boomerang them all. Just for fun. No, we can't. There's no warp block there. Okay. Icentrix, you want to see a giant Peepa made of Peepas? Yeah, I'd be very disappointed if that were not the case, but perhaps we're out of Peepas, given the giant 7 MMC. Okay, here's a freeze frame balloon. Unfortunately, we can... Oh no, we can see it as much as we want because, of course, warp block, and... Look at that. With 3 colors, and you spawn back in, and then this breaks open for you, so you can grab the 10 coin and the top of the flag, and the 3 1-ups for Endless. Of course. We always check for things like that. Yeah, Icentrix, I remember the Kavik Boomerang one. I believe that was actually the one from SGDQ that was unuploadable. It was either S or A GDQ, but one of the GDQ events that Kavik created. No, it's S because the title of the level was Spooky Ghosts Done Quick or something. Spooky Ghosts Done Quick. And I remember that was the one that he could never actually upload online because Nintendo did some kind of instant glitch detection with it. But yeah, I remember that from way back. I never got to play it, I don't think. But I kind of caught up with it on video. Anyway. Excellent selection from Kaito. And Luca, you made something with boo rings and auto-scroll, but you don't know how to turn it into an actual level. Yeah, there are a lot of concepts like that, I think, where you feel like you've got something that is a really cool tech demo, but doesn't particularly lend itself to actual player experiences. Natcat, welcome. Okay, let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is going to be... Hang on. I believe it's Tino next. Tino, who we haven't seen much of lately, but who has come back to deliver a nice donut block, JPEG. I don't know if you actually need the full resolution and color spectrum of a JPEG, the color gamut rather, to do something as simple as a donut block. That's the kind of thing that the GIF format was popularly used for before they just became byword for animation. That old standby, the 30-year workhorse of CompuServe standards. Anyway, enough about graphical interchange formats. Let's take a look at not just any donut block, but a nice donut block. Shall we say a Donut 69. We're very curious. The full description rather, says, who would have thought that bumpers who have all right to be called Donut Blocks and Claws, can synergize so well. This unusual duo will give you a boost to fly over obstacles and reach new areas to rise up high into the sky. So, let's see how it goes. You know what? I also haven't been looking at the comments so far. Let's look at some comment art, by the way. I don't want to forget, because comment art is always a bit of a treat. I know I'm playing on day one, and so there isn't much so far, but these have already been very widely played by a couple of big streamers. I know that DGR was on it earlier today, and some other big presences. This guy is still, unfortunately, stuck in Splatoon 2, to which everybody else has been busily saying farewell. If you look at Splatoon 2, in the lobby, the comment art is all either, you know, thank you Splatoon, farewell Splatoon, let's go to Splatoon 3, or people who are kids who are scrolling, I can't afford Splatoon 3, help. So the Splatoon 2 lobby is worth a look, or at least it was worth a look a few days ago. I'm already on number 3 myself, so. Boys are finally back. Hey, Ms. Yarrow. Yeah. Why are there so many songs about Christmas and only one with the boys back in town? Good question. I guess the boys aren't back in town every year. Nice donut from Lupin Snoop. Nice donut block. Nice donut block. Very much so. That's also known as foreshadowing. Let's take a look at... Where was Kaitos? Yeah, let's take a look at the art for that as well. And then we'll get back to business with Tino's creation. I'll point my translation engine at some of this stuff later. Excuse me, what do you mean by 7MMC? And let's see if there's anything else interesting. Yeah. Oh, here's something. From Inkling, or so we think. Add some booze. Probably. And a secret gang. Never mind that the secret is on a freeze frame. Looney was here as usual. And hey, here are some celebrating Pivas looking very classy. Very well dressed for the occasion. Also, look at the wheel. They kind of like going round and round. Reminds them of old times on the wheel in a fairground in Vienna before the war. Back to nice donut block. Let's go. Tino, just in time. I'm glad we took a little bit of extra padding there to look at comment art to give you, coincidentally, just enough time to waltz right in here. Well, anyway, on to the donut. Whoops. We're going to be using some momentum, obviously. We do need the claw to be projected slightly upwards in order to get enough height. Now this looks like a level entry, minus the arrow sign. I'm actually kind of impressed that the camera works as well as it does here, given that you are kind of just skirting the edge of what the player can see as they land. Obviously the speed path would be to take this donut immediately, but we're slow, so deal with it. And then, there we go. We'll be keeping an eye out for secrets, of course. Then, dry bones over here. I'm sure that'll not lower itself, thankfully. Okay. That reminds me of Tino's lava level last year. The palindromic tides reversed it. Where you are projected forward and you just land perfectly on a stump. That is exactly in the right place for where you need to go. Anyway, this is symmetrical. Shall we go left or right? Let's go left. Because if I do respawn from checkpoint, I'm sure my habit will be to go right. It's symmetrical. Or is it? Something seemed to activate down there. I think it was just a state switch, so perhaps we shouldn't just dive into the abyss. And we're doing this the slow way because that's what we do when we're inaccurate. We do want to get up into the claw like that. Excellent. And here we go. Whoops. Didn't actually watch the ground blocks to the left. I thought I could just jump all the way through. Bad idea. Always loved a lot of the state switching surprises in some of Tino's more advanced levels. Whoop. Okay, sometimes you just really have to go with the flow, though. We cut a little momentum there as I was seeing that for the first time, and unfortunately that will be death number 1 in this one. Okay. Let's go up. Nope. Let's go up. There we go. You know, this mechanic here, where you need to kind of get on a claw as you kind of snap into position as it goes up. Obviously, that's seen in a lot of auto-scrollers and other very time-sensitive platformers, but it reminds me of that falling claw level that Kalvik made near the beginning of Maker 2. It's probably the most complex contraption he made in Maker 2, from what he tells me, and so definitely a kind of sibling level, or a bit of a cousin to this one. What do you think about what it's doing with claw placement? Okay, full momentum. Let's go. Very nice. Sometimes I don't have enough time to read what's going on. We just have to go with it and hope for the best, and luckily this is a level that actually rewards that pretty well. Look at that, straight into the 1-up block. Let's not skip a checkpoint. Okay, still haven't found a secret yet, if it has been accessible up to this point, so we'll just need to get up here and see if there's anything else to look at. That's not going to be it. Oh, glad we didn't accidentally skip a checkpoint then. Yeah, I am trying to keep an eye out for locations. Notice how the spikes on the left are elevated just enough that you do get a fair chance to see that this is a spike pit as you go up. Not that you'd be assuming anything different, of course, but you never know with the way I play. No, I feel like we were supposed to jump on top of the blooper, and then we have platforms to land on, as well as a way to get shifted into the top left. I was kind of reading the layout and playing it at the same time, and so we needed to make some adjustments on the fly with my eyes on one part of the screen and Mario in another. Alright, up we go. Yeah, dry bones are, as always, kind of a nice element to use for setups like this, because they give you something that refreshes and is also times. You know what? Why am I doing that? We obviously are supposed to get back on a platform, not on the blooper, because the blooper's already dead. My instincts here are failing me, probably because having played a lot of Splatoon 3 over the past 2 days or so, we just try to kill every squid in sight. Well, yeah, that was going to happen. I'm sure I'm not the only one to get caught by that. That seems like it's the kind of thing that's going to make for a streamer supercut. Not watching where I'm going. See, just to nudge this over a little bit, hit this, and we'll do this a sensible way. Oh. Now, this is telling me to go up. I wonder if we missed anything down below, but we'll have to come back and comb for secrets if we don't see a solution. Interesting solution to the camera visibility here once again, with that opportunity to do the second bounce off of the note block on your way down. Nope, that was a miss. Oh, that's okay. That was supposed to be a miss then. Unless there was a way that you could carry the POW block with you, because perhaps if you have the POW block with you, you're able to do something in the next room. But you're meant to think about going for the POW. Clearly. Because you see the thwomp down below and you think, okay, obviously I have to grab the POW and then smack it, and then the level kind of saves you. but it saves you because the Thwomp has activated the on-off switch. And you can see that there are blue blocks behind the background here, such that I'm pretty sure this is supposed to reveal some kind of concealed balloon if you manage to destroy the Thwomp before the switch activation, because then you would be able to get through the Thwomp using the POW block, but then you would drop in here in the correct state to see whatever is concealed below all the blasters here. So I think that's the thing we missed. And we'll just have to come back and do it again, unless we take the clown car, go all the way back, and try to do a state switch again. Which is not going to happen. Okay, hang on. Can we get out? Or am I locked? There's no way I'm locked. But that's the kind of thing I would do to myself. I mean, we're not locked because we can always just go for the goal at any given time, but there we go. There we go. So technically I should be able to blast the hard blocks. Or not. Okay. Yeah, if I hadn't activated so many blocks, no, because you can't actually get in position to fire, I think. I wonder if you can kind of go around the top here? No. Or drop something into the clown car to lead it back over. Or do some kind of bounce up here. Now, we wouldn't be able to reactivate the switch anyway, so let's just replay the level, I think. Now, here's something important. If we miss the Thwomp, is there a way I can deliberately die? Yes, there is. So let's just do that instead. Loop and Snoop. The hour hand points towards the hole, while the minute's hand points to the crack. Guess what time it is? Obviously, nice donut o'clock. Okay. Whoops. Not so nice. Yeah, Loop and Snoop, it's not always that you come by and just give me that convenient a setup. You would think that's Loop and Snoop's entire shtick in Mario Maker, is to give people setups, right? Anyway, let's get over here. And let's not miss the POW block this time. So, yeah. Love this opportunity for the second bounce here as a camera adjustment, as I was saying earlier. And then we need to go for a leap for the POW once we go for that bounce, so... Nope. I think we need to pull back on that and land on the ice block instead of the spring. We need to revisit that and see, because we obviously need to kill the Thwomp with the POW. POW's not just bait, it's absolutely necessary to disable the state switching here. You served it to me on a silver platter? Yes, that's how donuts are best served. Okay, let's get up here. And over here. Now, of course, it's possible that maybe the POW block is just bait, and there's some other method that I need to account for here. You know what? I think I know what it is. The POW block is bait. Instead of hitting the POW to get rid of the muncher, you're supposed to ascend quickly enough to grab the POW that I was previously hitting in order to disable the muncher. That's what it is, because if you're fast enough, you can actually ascend using a claw instead of having to disable the muncher platform. If you skip the muncher platform in the elevator section, then you have access to a POW well in advance of the POW that you cannot actually reach. That makes a lot more sense to me. Now that we've seen that pattern, I think that's absolutely going to be a solution once we get back there. Feels like you haven't eaten a donut in years yet. There's actually a donut shop just across from where I am. If any of you know anything about the country I'm from, which is Canada, you can probably guess what that is. Anyway. Yeah, no, we don't want to do that. We want to get up to the claw. There's a particular movement that will allow me to get up to the claw quickly enough to grab the POW, without any of the upper blocks interfering with me. We're just going to find that placement. I don't know if it's something that really could be done blind, maybe by people who have a natural instinct to go fast. But that's okay, because we're explorers here. Okay. Up we go. No. Because if the claw takes you up, I think it would get bumped anyway. Maybe that's not the solution. But there seems to be a particular safety point. The thing that gives me pause about this is the placement of the ice block that's beside the spring later on, which makes me think that maybe it's possible to avoid the bounce that takes you past a POW, but... we'll see, because it looked like a promising solution given the claw placement that allows you to go up, because why else would that claw be there? Yeah, you see? You've got a claw there that you need to get onto before the donut block comes down. You follow the donut block that's going up, and you have to get on the claw and get out of it before the descending donut pushes you off. I think there is a window of opportunity there that we are barely missing, and we'll have to go for it. So, let's go back down. Oh. Thinking a little too far ahead here. Anyway. Down we go. And back up. You haven't had a good crawler in like 8 years, wow. Did you note the specific timestamp of when you last had a good crawler? Is that what happened here? Whoops. I don't know about this. No, because the descending bumper is synchronized with the POW platform. That would make that an impossible maneuver. So maybe this is not the solution then, because then what would be the claw going up before? That doesn't seem to make sense, because if the bumper coming down is always going to be aligned right next to the POW, coming down at the same rate on adjacent tracks, then I cannot actually sneak in towards the POW in that corner, unless I find a way to go up above it. So, it's possible that's not the solution at all, and we should be thinking about a later POW instead. But I think we need to study that segment a little more closely. Because claw momentum is kind of the name of the game in this whole level, right? So I think there might be a way for me to kind of go around the upper bumper, perhaps. Because why else would that claw be there? Hang on. Yeah, I'm playing it poorly because I am trying to get back to it to read what's going on and consider whether it's a viable solution. Because if we can skip the muncher, that solves a lot of issues immediately. And, oh yeah, Loop and Snoop, I need to get the definition bot up and running. Just a minute here. I haven't run it in a long time. Let me see if it's still going to work for me here. Just give me one moment. Tells you how long it's been since I Played word games here. Type of sweet cake, fried and fat. Can also be spelled with a K. Yeah, okay, no, it's the same bumper. It's the same bumper and it peaks before it comes down. So there is actually a narrow window before it realigns itself. So that absolutely is the solution now, I'm convinced. Okay, here we go. Anyway, let's go up. Donut, to surround a parliamentary orator to impress TV audiences. Yeah, if you're involved in some kind of political campaign, or for that matter, if you want to demonstrate to everyone that you're a very popular streamer, perhaps, then you would have a nice donut. Oops. You know, Tino, I think I actually didn't read your maker description. I'm so accustomed to reading everybody's descriptions ahead of time because last year for YMM, I was actually one of the proofreaders for the text before it went up on the website. In case anybody needed their bios translated from broken English to less broken English. And, which is totally fair because we have an international crowd here. Okay, I think I can get it on the claw in a way that allows me to wrap around a bumper on the left side. If you looked at the claw movement there, I think it's possible to do that rather than try to slip into the slot, because the bumper reverses too quickly to allow for that. But if I can go over it using the claw, that would make sense. That's the only thing that the claw could be for, I think. It's not doing anything else for me there apart from being a safety point. And it is the central mechanic of this level, so... Whoops. No, trying to go too fast here. We'll be taking our time with this. Whoops. Alright. And that's going to be a push. Nope. Too soon. Yeah, no, the claw was how you got up initially, but yeah, I was absolutely able to wrap around. If I took the claw far enough to the left side, I could go down to the right, grab the pound, jump on the bumper, get on the claw, and then come back up. It's absolutely doable. I just need to not jump out of the claw like that, and drop out on the right side after a bit of a swing instead. But as I enter the claw, it's imperative that I swing left so the bumper doesn't knock me down. That's the method. Speaking of which, you know what I'm really looking forward to? And he's not here, so it would be funnier if it was here and I could say this, but the Bee Suzuki balloon tier list. Whoops. Because you know it's coming. So let's not jump too far off the claw, and then we will make it back over. I feel like this has got to be the method. I'm very convinced from the spacing that I've seen on the level. Use the claw to wrap around the left side of the bumper. So, Loop and Snoop, for 5 and 6YMM, Bee Suzuki made a tier list of every collectible cake. I think it was generally how good they look, although maybe there were some considerations of how to obtain them as well, but I think it was generally just a graphic design. Elder Word, as far as the Mario sabbatical goes, We were actually just asked minutes ago to put up the Scrabble definition bot. And Elderword, I'm actually playing an over-the-board tournament next week, which will be my first one in a few months, because I have been mostly unable to travel to competitions this year. Unfortunately, I won't be able to hit up the big one in Lake George next month. I was really hoping to, but I think the schedule just doesn't work out for me. There we go. Okay, we have it. We have it. Let's knock it out now. And not die here. There we go. Wait a minute. How come there's still a state switch? Oh, because it's not done by the Thwomp at all. It's done by... Okay. I feel like I was supposed to grab a POW and take it with me to the next room then. But then there's no state switch here, so why would that be the case? We're going to try it again. We're going to take the POW into this room. What could that possibly activate, though? There's nothing here for a POW to actually play with. Curious. So you can clearly obtain the POW. But that's not how to prevent the state switch. Oh, because the activation mechanism was off camera, wasn't it? But it's going to be off camera anyway, because you drop in, if it's a spike ball or something, then you just drop in and it hits. I didn't actually see what the activation mechanism was, because all this time in the back of my mind I was thinking it was the Thwomp, and if I had bothered to look at the on-off switch, I would have known that wasn't the case. But we know the POW is obtainable, so we have a partial solution. Oh, whoops, no. Let's not get antsy here. Just a distraction? No, there's definitely a secret to be revealed here. Because... So we're playing at levels from the 7th anniversary anthology project, celebrating 7 years since the launch of the original Mario Maker back in 2015 on the 14th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, which is why it's so easy to remember. And each of these levels has a secret celebratory balloon to be revealed. And we know where the one in this level is located, and we know that it depends on toggling the on-off switch. So if we figure out how to prevent the switch from being activated at the end, then we're in good shape. Right now we have part of it figured out. Anyway, Elderword, do let me know if you've been active over the board lately, and with the word games in general. Because it's been interesting to see so many people who are active in the streaming community show up in the tournament standings in all divisions, really. A lot of new players coming in from Josh's stream and other places, and actually traveling with the tournaments. It's been kind of interesting to follow that vicariously, even though I haven't been able to attend very much of that myself. Okay, up we go. Yeah, mostly Woogles and ISC. Whoops. Yeah, we need to go a little bit faster here. If we fail at it, though, maybe I should go on a little further ahead to try to research what exactly is going on with that switch activation and how we might disable it. It's not by hitting the Thwomp ahead of time, it's something else. Okay, let's go up. We'll have to figure out what that is. Might have to be very quick about it. Get over to bumper, get the POW on the right side. I think the switch activation mechanism, whatever it was just simply not within range previously, and where I just didn't have it on camera. Whereas I managed to kill the Thwomp because that was the only thing that I had my eyes on at the time. That's okay, we'll go back and we'll try it. And up we go. Nope, too late. That's okay, we know the method at this point. Used to binge play Mario 3 as a kid, yeah. Good memories from the sky theme here in particular, I'm sure. And up we go. Alright. And here we are, through the door. At this point, you would just consider the flipped-on balloon a super secret upgrade for it, if it actually possible. Interesting. Well, I'm going to try to see what I can do with it anyway, because there's clearly something I'm missing about the balloon activation. Because you know that at the very least, coming out of this segment, you're going to be in the off state, right? Because nothing's going to take you up here and yet maintain the switch state as on. Unless there's a way that you can elevate yourself through the bumper here, which I don't think is going to be the case. Maybe I just need to take a POW with me to the final section. And that there's going to be some kind of entity detection that would activate the on-off switch. It clearly encourages you to grab a POW, right? And this is way out of camera range. There's no way I can do anything with it, especially if it's something like a spike ball. Because it would always activate on spawn. So what if I just take a POW through with me? And maybe there's a switch activation that's based on whether the POW has been made available. Oh, you know what? There's also the clown car. Now, why would the clown car be relevant? Because the clown car can knock out the ice blocks. Why didn't I do that previously? Because I did, didn't I? And then we found the hard blocks instead. Yeah, we did take out the ice blocks. We weren't able to take out the hard blocks because I couldn't get the clown car into position. So let's see this, because we know we can get the clown car and we don't know what it's used for, because I can't seem to navigate out of here with it. Unless we drop the POW in the clown car. That's the solution. You drop the POW in the clown car and let it tail you up. That's the solution. Oh, except it's entity blocked. Well, that's unfortunate. That's very sad. Okay, that's unfortunate. Because I was hoping that, like, the solution would be that if you take the clown car with you, you can actually drop the POW in the clown car and have it follow you up. And then grab something. But if the POW is entity blocking the clown car, then what do? You can't do that. Okay, can't do that either. Maybe you just fire this thing and hope for the best. No, it can't be that. Wait, but if you can grab the POW, but you spawn the clown car, so what did we not do with the clown car earlier that we can still do? I think we just float with it gently, right? If you float with the clown car, are you able to get through these blocks? I didn't think so. I thought you would just hit the blocks automatically. So let's take the death again. Let's try this. Let's revisit the clown car, because the POW is actually obstructing me from whatever the fire car is supposed to do. So it looks like obtaining the POW... Well, no, that can't be right, because you're clearly told to grab the POW by the level. Like, the level is encouraging you to aim for the POW, right? Why would it do that if you weren't supposed to carry the POW with you in some capacity? So we're definitely missing something here. So you take the POW with you, and then what? You can take out the Thwomp, but that does nothing. Maybe there's something directional going on. I have to think about this, because graphically this is encouraging you to grab the POW, but you can't do it. But we're going to take the different POW with us anyway, and that's fine. Thwomp gets eradicated. The state switch is going to happen. And then what? Then maybe the POW is usable for something else at the very end that we're just not considering. You can drop the 50 coin with it, but why would you want to do that? POW can drop the 50 coin, but that's the only thing that it seems to be interacting with on screen. You're all just dumbly nodding your heads at my wisdom. Well, you see, Elderward, Tino is the one who built this, so I'm sure Tino has a somewhat different reaction. Where it seems like I'm probably revealing something that was maybe not entirely intentional. The level itself is actually fairly simple, it's just that we're going to receive a raid from Chichiri. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's take a look at that and give you a big acknowledgement. Chichiri, I did see that your name is already on a couple of clears here. I don't know if you played the whole set today or just a few specific levels. But welcome everybody who came in from Octopus Cove. I hope you had a great time. You did them all minus the last two. Welcome Chai Latte, Ms. Yarrow, whose comments we've seen in a couple of places so far. So I've beaten this level, technically, but we're trying to reveal the secret because we do the completionist thing around here. And I felt very close to getting something, and then we ran into a bit of an issue. I'll see if I can demonstrate. So we know how to grab this POW block. We know how to go up here. We know that the POW block on the top right is out of reach, and there's a state activation in the bottom right that's beyond the Thwomp that is also out of reach. So killing the Thwomp actually does nothing. Because killing the Thwomp doesn't affect the state activation in any way. But if you take the POW block through to the next room, it actually creates an entity block. And the entity block becomes an issue because it prevents the clown car from spawning. So you see this here. I assumed this was a spike ball or something down there. And I don't know if there's another secret. You see, I haven't seen the main secret, the one that's buried underneath all the blasters at the very end, whatever it is. Like, if that's a secret, then we don't know what it is. Because we can go down with the POW, but then we know that we're actually over entity limit, and we don't have access to the clown car. How do I know there's a clown car? Because I've been there before without the POW. And I assumed that we would need to blow things up with the clown car, except for the fact that we have a couple of blocks here that are getting in the way. So you know you can get the clown car, you know you can bust open the ice blocks, but then what happens? And you also know that there are some other blocks that are here that we bumped our head against a little earlier. I think we actually do have to expend the POW again, so we can grab the clown car and experiment with it some more, because I've only seen that on one attempt so far. So normally when you're not entity blocked, this comes out. I have not seen behind the blasters. Maybe my shot accuracy was just awful. Oh, you know what? You can just do this. No, because the way I was thinking about this was I saw that there was a clear outline of the blue blocks that was behind all the blasters, and I thought, clearly that means I'm supposed to prevent the state switch in the previous room from happening. And you had all these clues that were pointing me towards picking up a POW. And I actually did successfully manage to pick up a POW, right? And so I was doing that over and over again, thinking that if I brought the POW into this room, then maybe I could drop it into the clown car, make the clown car follow me up beyond this point, and then blast some kind of hidden switch that's maybe up top. Or some kind of other activation mechanism, right? It turns out I overthought it very slightly. That's a good point. This isn't my level, and the secret isn't that insane. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't put it on beyond Tino, because you'll remember that last year Tino had 6 separate cakes in his 6YMM level, so... We spent way too long on a clear, specifically because of that blind alley, but at least we proved that it's possible to take the POW to the end. At least we proved it. I tried to pull some big brain galaxy move for a very simple thing. That's what we do around here. That's what we do. Exactly as Elderword did in linear algebra. Rabbit holes are the best kind of hole. I don't know, Tempest Fung. Given that we just played a donut level, those are fighting words. Anyway, let's take a look at level number 4 after we take a look at the comment art, if there is any. And yeah, once again, welcome to everybody who I may or may not have acknowledged. Catherine Beefheart, Ubiquitous Swedish Fish, all the usual Octopus Cove crowd that has come here. Quite obscure how this concept hasn't been used in a mixed martial arts course before. I wonder why. I don't feel like that would be a legal move. And, oh, look at this bumper. That's kind of neat. This guy's trying to tell some kind of story about the clown car, and I don't know what it is. Levels like this are the resin. I couldn't rate for 7YMM. Apparently so. Nice donut block. Yeah, there's a bit of continuity here with some of the previous comments that we've seen. Nice. Okay. Next level is going to be the Grikowski puzzle. Pressure, plates, and gates. Now, I understand this was already re-uploaded once because DGR actually broke it. I don't know how. I just heard there was a re-upload after a DGR stream earlier today. But that's okay. That's expected. That's why I usually wait a bit to play these, but today seemed to be the perfect occasion, so... Always look forward to a Grikowski puzzle. I played almost everything he's ever made. So... Grikowski Thought reads the main description, which you can see on the website. Grikowski thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a button contraption, like in Portal? I bet there'd be lots of applications. Being inspired, he made one. Then, Nabooz break it and made a better one. Thanks, Nabooz. Now, thankfully, I am going into this one totally unspoiled. I did catch a bit of Lupin Snoop's kind of 7MMC reveal stream earlier today, but he was very kind about hiding spoilers and skipping the puzzle. So, let's see what this is all about. Your biggest fear is having a level break live on a super popular stream. Yeah, because that... I think it's actually worse if somebody who's a super big streamer thinks your level is broken and is actually wrong. Which is what has happened to some of the YMM levels in the past, I think. Anyway, hard blocks everywhere, significantly indicating some kind of scroll break, but instead, we're going to have a companion cube, which we can use on the weight plate for the switch activation, so... Kind of an interesting way to have something very semantically clear, I guess, where, you know, POW equals weight plate equals on-off switch. Very understandable. What would a door be for? Can't just be a reset, is it? Oh no, that's where we went in. I have no memory at all for this kind of thing, as you can see. But yeah, speaking of hard blocks, no, nothing that we can exit in this room. Let's just do the opening sequence yet again. A little elegant tutorial here. and go down. And yes, this is re-up. It's already very popularly played as well, so. Alright, what are we doing here? Well, we have a weight plate, which is going to move the blaster to the left and open up a gateway to allow me to get the trampoline on the left. The idea is to swap places between the spring and the POW, and so we just grab the spring, run it over here, swap places, that'll be it. Now I wonder if, as in past Grokowski levels, the way to the balloon secrets will be some kind of hard mode puzzle. That is always a bit of a pleasure for sure, so. The snowball one last year was absolutely fantastic. Anyway, we do need to get up first, though, so let's not neglect the fact— oh, whoops, that was a mistake. That's okay. Taking the spring is no big deal because we can bring it back immediately. And take this up. And yeah, so this is a cannon gate, so the blaster is just going to go down. It's not going to smush anything, so we will restore this into position. We will then move the POW over here. Now, no way to smuggle the other one here, because that would require an additional object to maintain the plate in a slower position, so I think that's all we can do here, unless there's a way to. Well, I'm going to be thinking about object smuggling, obviously, throughout the whole level, but I doubt it's going to be anything this early. And with the number of coins that we see here, I'm sure it's going to be one of Grokowski's auto-saving checkpoint systems, which we've seen in the past. So yeah, let's just do one room at a time. Looks like it's going to be 6 rooms plus the exit coin, and then you have the initial key death coin up there. So that looks right to me. And yet, a key coin collection at the very start. We will take a look at this and see what's going to happen. So, first step is pretty constrained. We can't really do much else other than drop this. But the idea is that we do need the POW to be in the top left, and I need myself to be in the top left. And so we need to cart everything over here, and then possibly there will be some kind of maybe object push or something, where we maintain this in position, for instance. And you take a look at this, then it freezes it. And that is how it goes. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Anyway, put the donut block on a launcher. Yeah, that's what donuts are for, apparently. Alright, let's go back up. Yeah, after I finish this, I'll have to figure out what actually broke it in the previous version, just out of curiosity. Okay, so the cannon on the left is able to act as a lift that takes me up. I feel like something here is going to involve going onto the left side and using the one-way panel to pick up an object from the right. I think that's actually quite likely. On the other hand, the thing that we actually want to do is have some kind of delay on the POW coming up. But we just need to get the POW onto the upper level, which we can do just by placing it and pushing it. And yeah, we're going to be using the one-way panel as expected. The offset's just going to work perfectly. Pretty straightforward. But this is kind of an intro-level puzzle by Grokowski standards, I think, so. I spoke too soon, obviously. I shouldn't have dropped the powder right away. We just actually reset our position. What we needed to do was put it on the conveyor belt and run over here and beat it on the way down, because the conveyor belt is supposed to drop it. Too much talking, not enough puzzle execution. Okay. So yeah, we'll drop this, drop myself, get on the lift, up we go. And indeed, round 2, fight. Yeah, Elderward, in one of the early editions of the Mario Maker Anniversary Collections, the one 2 years ago for YMM, and I know 7 minus 4 is 3, but there's a bit of a long story involved in that. There was a Mortal Kombat themed level that played the music from Mortal Kombat as you played, and you'd fight the different bosses as you went along, and it would actually have like the introductions that said things like round 2, fight. And definitely one of the more memorable creations in Mario Maker 2 overall, really. Anyway, the shell will allow me to... I mean, the object here is just to get to the vine on the left side, so we actually just need some kind of displacement here. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it works for Punch-Out too. We've seen a couple of different attempts at Punch-Out remakes here as well. I think the idea here is that we need to remotely detonate the shell using the POW, not remotely detonate the POW using the shell. It was going to be something remote, but... Oh, whoops, that was a mistake. Let's reset this. We've got about 70 seconds. We won't be able to do the whole thing in one run, but... yeah, it was going to be some kind of delayed switch release. Hang on. Why is that still set to off? There we go. Oh, does that not actually apply enough weight? Yes, it does. Okay, I was just a little off then. Yeah, I guess the shell was actually just resting on the platform or something, and we didn't quite get the activation going. Anyway, 3 down, so that's 1/2. We'll do the other side of the checkpoint setup, and then we'll... oh, I was going to go through door number 1, but sure, let's just do this door to see what we're in for, given that we're not going to clear that quickly. And so yeah, you've got another one here where you need to ultimately get both objects here on the left side. And you just need to cycle them around. Notice that this spot here allows you to just drop an object in directly and push through the bottom. So that's how you load an object in to get it pushed. And then that would allow me to spring the POW up above. So we'll keep that in mind when we go back to this room. We'll run out of time, obviously, and we'll have to do one of the other solutions first, just to keep things in order. Let's just grab these. I'm kind of curious what the post-checkpoint key coin protection is, whether you have to redo the room, or if Grokowski has a failsafe mechanism. You know what? There's no need for a failsafe mechanism, because you can just exit the pipe. Never mind. No, but you can also just toggle the switch, and then exit the pipe. So that's a very interesting way to do the checkpoint gating almost, were it not for that semi-solid. No, I was just kind of curious whether something like that would work. Never mind. Never mind. We weren't paying attention. So let's just redo this one. And feel clever about it later. You think the failsafe is a spike on the right? Grokowski usually goes for something more elegant than that, so I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt when it came to things like that. What do we even do here? Oh yes, we blocked this with the POW. That was actually a very simple solution. Yeah, the solution's short enough that you don't actually need some kind of shortcut mechanism or anything like that. It's not like you're doing something really delicate or execution dependent. Anyway, that was a fun waste of 60 seconds. Take a look at this one. Looks like that could crush an object and potentially destroy... No, it would also dunk something, perhaps. You could also obstruct it. That's what occurs to me here. Yeah, because you can also place an object there to prevent the cannon from coming down once you toggle the switch. It would probably have to be the spring, because then No, you'd want to spring on this side so you can kind of jump up upon it and then pick up the POW. So you want to POW on that ledge. No, because you can't run through the POW, can you? Let's... Yeah, no, you would actually want to spring so you can run through it. And then you just stand on the POW and grab it. That should be the way it's done. So let me explain what I mean here. So what you do is you place the POW here. Oh no, you do need to have an object over here though. And then we'll grab it afterwards. So you sustain that, you place this over here, and then I can run through it, and then grab it on the way back up. Because you run through, stand on the POW, get a little bit of extra height there we go. And then up we go. And Elder Ward, you're going to tap out for today. Yeah, you have a good night yourself. And I'll see you around on Woogles or wherever else. Okay, the next one we kind of mapped out already. So we'll just actually execute it. It'll be dunking an object in the middle, and then you gradually escort both of them back to the left. Yeah, because no matter what, you can always dunk an object and transfer it to the other side using the switching mechanism. In fact, why don't I just push it this way? Oh, because it stops. Yeah, no, I should have considered that. Let's rethink that. Yeah, really interesting integration of the central switch puzzle mechanism with the door gating mechanism on the other side. Although, wait, I mean, this would just be a reset, right? It has to be. No, because the initial spawning position of that blaster is on a track, which blocks all of the doors at once with a single entity. Very efficiently done. So yeah, we don't want the POW to block, obviously, on a conveyor belt, since it's not going to fall all the way down. What we do want to do is probably release this so we can cart the spring over to the right side. Now that should not be a blocking piece. Yeah. Pretty simple puzzle object logic that we should remember, that the POWs do block and the springs do not. Hope springs eternal, apparently. Now, at this point, we actually should use the POW as a blocking piece, in some fashion. Because what's going to happen when I place the spring onto the switch? We would need to go back and retrieve it, and I would need to cart it back over. And the way I would cart it back over is... well, let's see what happens first, and then we'll map this out visually, because I think we needed to POW for something. Yeah, no, if you depress the switch, then you're able to place the POW once more. And if you place the POW as a... Whoops, no, that was an accident. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Okay. You think this was your favorite room? Yeah. Looks like the most involved one so far. Also just a very elegant mechanism here, this cyclical little thing in the center. And welcome again, Barnstorm. Hope you also enjoyed the whole level set today. Yeah, so we're going to dunk this. We're going to send it over right side. Yeah. Quite a lot of interactions packed into this thing for something that's pretty lean and elegant. That's always something fun to see puzzle makers strive for. Okay. If we drop this here, then we can push it back to the left. Very simple, in fact. And you just need to push it once, because we don't actually need to use the central gate for anything other than items. That's what I was going for in the first place. Yeah, very nice room. And then we have one more to go. Possibly two more if the secret is locked behind some kind of hard mode interaction. We'll have to see that. Okay, so this auto-activates to an off state, which is interesting. Because if you depress the switch, then you're able to load one of those objects on top of the blaster. I believe that this is going to be another one where we use a POW as a block. I mean, it is a POW block, but like as a blocking piece. We'll probably have to use it in some capacity. Except we would need to take it down here first before we do that. Yeah. But luckily, we can always go back over. You can, in fact, do something like this and obstruct it. Now, why would you want to obstruct that? Let's take a look at this. Because then you can just take the POW over to the left side. Then how do you take the spring over to the left side? I feel like we need to get the spring into the middle section, actually. But you would only be doing that. So because of the way the semi-solids are laid out, we're not going to finish it on this attempt because 40 seconds remaining and we're talking through everything. The POW is going to be used as a blocking piece at some point for at least one of the gates. Now, why would you want to open up the middle like that? Let's see. You release it like that, then you're able to come through here. And then you're able to place both objects down low. Leave the POW in place, perhaps. Or just take it upstairs directly with you, and then... Yeah, because I want a switch activated, and then I'll take the POW over to the left. Let's rethink that. Even though this is technically totally nonlinear, there is a bit of a gradual escalation in complexity. So, here's the thing. The only way we can take objects to the left is through this gate, which means that we have to have the gate activated to an on state with objects that are either already in the middle or with the POW blocking this so that this passage is open. So from there, it's just a matter of figuring out order. And also noting that you're able to push the spring using the blasters in a way that you're not able to do with the POW. And so it's possible to kind of pre-place the spring in such a way that it will just be pushed over in some manner. So for example, I feel like you do need the spring in order to escort the POW across though. But we'll see about that. Yeah, because there's no reason to go back up here with an object, given that objects will always have to follow this path of coming through here and then going through the second gate. So if you were to take the POW, press the switch, then you move the spring to the left. Let's see here. I mean, there's a finite number of orders that we can work with here. I feel like this is not going to be the order, but... yeah, with the switch down, that's what happens, unless you had the POW blocking one direction. But that's okay, because what we can do... I mean, blocking this was probably the right idea, because you can just escort this directly. But then the question is how you do the next switch activation after that. And I feel like part of it here is to understand that you can take the POW back out at any point if you use the spring to spring back up. So there might be a reason to circle back out here by using either object to get through the vine. The POW, of course, will not really do that for you because you can't jump that high, but if the spring is in the middle, you can actually take an object back out and cycle it. So for example, if I were to, myself, go back to where we were previously, and cart the POW over here, then we can block this piece, revert the right one. Yeah, pretty straightforward, actually. It was staring me in the face. We just needed to just kind of think about the second part of that sequence, and it was pretty straightforward. I mean, the central mechanic of blocking the blaster is really the only requirement there. So now let's see about how the secret is gated, whether it's through a bonus puzzle at the end, as I suspect it may be. We probably don't want to drop with that. Okay, good. Let's let that pop open. And okay, no, never mind. 7mmc, that looks absolutely metal. Okay, never mind. It's just buried in here if you just activate the block, so that's fairly simple. Nice balloons, though. Yeah, if you know what a mild-mannered fellow Burkowski is, this is much more metal than I typically expect from him. Fantastic track design, though. Fireworks everywhere. And, oh, here we go. There's an exit gate. But what it requires is for you to blow up the bomb and see what's on this side. Ah, so it reveals the mechanism for the seesaw, which is nice. Always love the mechanism reveals when it comes to complex contraptions. We apparently have Naboose to thank for this as well, which is understandable given his expertise in things like these little thwomp offsets and switch mechanisms, using properties like, well, just how all these objects are displacing each other with that thwomp as well as the one on bottom. Yeah, because look at that. With the initial state switch, once you release the seesaw, the star is able to dunk the lower thwomp, and that activates the lower switch. And that's how you kind of get that back and forth. That is entirely based on a wake plate. So, very neat, pretty low budget too. Now, what about that muncher at the end? Oh, that tracked it. Oh, that's part of the initial offset loading mechanism, I think. I think that's what it has to be. But we will just make the exit. And then we are halfway through. Let's take a look at the comments. This is on the re-upload, so it's missing whatever was from the initial upload earlier in the day, but here's Chichiri, who we're very grateful to for the raid earlier, and bringing all you fine folks in. Very springy. This reminds you of the Portal series. I wonder why. I can handle the pressure of the superb puzzle. The pressure plate, unfortunately, did not. Somebody claims a soft lock. Look at this smarmy face here, this grin that says, I found a soft lock. I somehow doubt it, but... Oh, look at Barnstorm here. With the 7mmc design, very close to the official design by Lecter, which is itself very close to the heavy metal tracks that we saw not long ago. And Itchy Knee, also kind of a one-screen puzzle specialist. Loop and Snoop feeling the pressure. On the original Loop and Snoop account, no doubt. No less, not even on the Loop and Tube. Muncher is placed below the thwomp but doesn't spawn because of the ground or the offsets. Yes. I will have to look at that Luca a little more closely, but I think I know what you mean. It looked like it was part of the offset mechanism. Does the world record apply to suggest there's still cheese? Maybe so, actually. 47 seconds? 47 seconds is a little suspicious, isn't it? I mean, how would you do it? Actually, no. I don't think so. I think, given the speed of the mechanisms here, yeah, it would be a couple of seconds per room. The exit would kind of slow you down a little bit, though, so that does look a little bit suspicious, cheese-wise. So, maybe there's another upload coming after this one. Who knows? Yeah, because some of the mechanisms would definitely take you far too long for that to be realistically the case. Anyway, let's do another one. We should be able to get through the whole set today, I think, but we'll see how it goes. Next one is going to be Nugukaza, Cannon Balloon Tycoon. Let's see if we can find it here. Float around a kingdom in your cannon balloon. Now, we've seen a lot of Nugukaza levels on the stream before that have you flying the P-balloon like you do in every Nugukaza level, but around all kinds of object spawns and interesting shapes and all kinds of things. So we've seen a lot of similar setups, I'm sure, but we're going to play around in this one and see how it's going to go. And the website description is the same as the one that you see in the text here. Float around a kingdom in your cannon balloon. Pretty straightforward. It is unfortunately not a tycoon simulation game where you spend resources to build cannon balloons and attract visitors who will have to pay certain entry fees to fire themselves from the cannon balloon, which you can then reinvest in upgrades to your theme park. Anyway, oh, that's the Nugukaza level, all right. Oh, look at that. The pretty interesting use of a dark level here, actually, given that the other P-balloons are just used as lighting elements. We missed one coin already. We'll have to go back for it when we do the secrets route. Luckily, we've played a lot of Nugukaza levels before, as I was saying, and so at least a standard flight path is going to be tuned to be comparatively easy by the usual standards. And very gentle, but we'll see how gentle the coin path is going to be when we eventually get to it. But yeah, we've seen a lot of these kinds of concepts before, but not in the dark theme. The dark theme is kind of the twist here that I think really makes some of the pathing quite interesting to watch. And of course you have the red cannonballs at the end that act as a bit of timer gauge, so you can't just hang around all day. So we missed one coin at the very start, we know that. And yeah, once you lose the P-balloon, there is a power-up state switch detector. I actually remember Nugukaza asking me a few weeks ago about state detection in the dark theme. As you can see, this is actually in Night Underwater, because I think underwater was required to make this work. In the way that it does. And, oh, nope. Hang on. Yeah, we're getting bumped on the left side there. So, pretty good anti-SD lock mechanisms here, as the level just kind of locks you out and crushes you with the auto-scroll. Yeah, and we'll just go opposite the balloon spawning direction. That seems to be the sensible thing to do. And the coins give you a really easy trail to spot, although the 30 coins is going to be a bit of a bonus for people who feel a little risky. It's a freeze frame detector right at the bottom right of the screen, yes. Yeah, I see it there with the muncher. Obviously, it's the dark theme, so we can't see much of it, but it gets loaded in right away, and yeah, very interesting use of that mechanism in a way that's well hidden from the player, but also instantly intuitive. So, definitely a big showcase of Nugukaza's style with a couple of twists that you normally don't see. Interesting way to do the ending platform as well. Using the trampoline to guarantee that the exit is available, you know, with the trampoline being the bracing element for the doors, such that they are detected as having ground underneath, while maintaining symmetry. So yeah, we missed the first coin. We will have to do this level again, obviously. It looks like the red pipe is going to be the exit pipe for the secret. So, if we missed the first coin, we'll just go back and die. And thank you for the GG. Let's start it over. Okay. Nope. That's a bad idea. Yeah, it was just one corner that I didn't turn at very sharply. Previously, when I missed coin 1. I believe it was coin 1. That's okay, just need to tap here. Nugukaza, of course, has made many flight levels that are much more punishing than this for the true P-Balloon experts. There's a small handful of people in Mario Maker 2 who are just the world's most elite P-Balloon pilots and who do all kinds of super high-speed precision. I playtested a lot of that stuff in the past as somebody who crashed against them and couldn't beat them, but probably gave Nugukaza a very good calibration for difficulty. Yeah, I'm really glad to see Nugukaza make it in the project this year. This was something that we had kind of discussed as far back as 6YMM before it was clear that 7 years would be under a different system of management, but... Oh, look at that, it's Yoshi. Poor thing. We're going to let the sad music play out, because Yoshi is just trapped. Okay. Nope. Cutting that corner a little too close, but that's okay. We are trying to grab everything, and I did manage to obtain that previously. Hidden Yoshi found. Yeah, and it is unobtainable, in case there was any doubt. Nope. Yeah, I have to say that, you know, in general, the P-Balloon is one of those things that you have to be impressed at how Nintendo implemented it in this game, given that the P-Balloon in its original form in Super Mario World was pretty limited and situational. Certainly didn't have the kind of boost and momentum mechanics that you have here. Was mostly just used for dodging the baseballs and tubular. And for that one secret in Forest of Illusion, I think, if memory serves. But the P-Balloon really kind of came into its own in this game, and to really see that in action in terms of how much you can push it to do some of these interesting concepts. Obviously, Nugukaza here is one of the makers to watch when it comes to showing that off, because, you know, you don't see many makers really kind of explore underused elements with that level of dedication. We were saying something similar about Kaito's Pipa level earlier on, is that sometimes there's still a ton of life left in this game from things that only a few makers have taken the time to really kind of explore and master when it comes to teasing out all the nuances of the mechanics involved. And so I think Mario Maker 2 does have a lot of life left in it. I think I'm generally much more optimistic about that than a lot of people will be. Oh, this is totally a little precision game, isn't it? Unless you just need to wait for the... Okay. E-switch to shut off. I mean, you can come down here. Maybe it isn't a maze. Maybe we just need to go out the door. Okay, never mind. And there's a second zone here as we follow the other balloons up. I feel like what we really need out of Nuka Kaza, by the way, is a balloon fight themed level. Actually, given the balloons in 7MMC, maybe there is some kind of balloon fight creation that's coming from somebody, and nobody's told me yet. I'm not an insider in the know this year like I have been in years past, so I'm just taking the player's perspective this year with no idea of what to expect in the upcoming playlists. So, it's full of surprises. Although I think it's been a very strong batch of very familiar people from week 1. I think the only person in week 1 that I am not really familiar with is the troll maker who's at the very end, and that's because I'm not really in touch with the troll community that often, so we'll see how that goes at the end. Look at this WoW balloon over here. Anyway, and Chichiri's balloon over here as well, which already has a like on it. Look at that. Let's take a look at the next creation. Now, like I said, depending on how early we finish the 7MMC set today, we'll see if we just run this as a short stream or if we can tag in some additional content. We'll decide that as we go. The next one on the list, however, as foreshadowed in chat, is Luca, with Trampon off lean, which I'm totally reading as Trampon offline, right? Oh, which is an intended pun, because if your trampolines are having connectivity or lag issues, try holding jump. I mean, it's not like anybody could possibly miss that nugget of advice. I can't imagine that that would escape the attention of somebody who's a veteran player who would come into this level on day 1 and embrace all that it has to offer. Surely we're not going to run into any trouble. The website says, description is now loading. Please wait. So I did see a segment of this on Loop and Snoop's stream earlier today, and Loop and Snoop and Luca have a bit of a history, let's say, when it comes to the readability of Luca's mechanics. Okay, so we just kind of follow this skip-squeak rhythm. Look at the coin here. We jump, I mean, not like that, obviously. So there is a coin that's buried directly underneath it. We should actually sneak to it. Yeah, so if we are in this location, then it's going to bounce. Yeah, like that. So you just kind of follow the rhythm accordingly. See, after roasting Loop for so long, obviously, the first thing I do is fail to figure out how to get this coin. So as you can see, I probably didn't see that much of the level. Hang on. We're going to... I obviously need to raise this skip squeak first, and then... Wait, hang on. And then just slip under like that. Yeah, no, we just need to jump it and sneak under it. That's... Nuka Kaza, you say I found almost all the secrets like it was a secret I missed. We might have to go back to yours if there was indeed a secret I missed, because obviously we cannot let that stand. Here we go. Yeah. There we go. It's a matter of synchronization. And look at this thing here. There we go. I was a little worried there for a moment, I have to admit. That could have gone very embarrassingly. Yep, we just need to kind of think about a rhythm and tap the whole jump at the right moment. I'm doing it a little early, that's what the issue here. You kind of have to be a little behind the beat. There we go. There's a kind of sub-mechanic to this level that most people don't notice even though you teach it later. Interesting. Tiny secret's kind of like the Yoshi block. Is that what you mean, Nukukaza? To give us a sense of proportion. Yeah, you step on a pad, and you don't jump it, you can just slide under. That's how you're supposed to do the first one too, in fact, because if you step on a pad, that's kind of within an activation range. So the pad is an activation button, and you have to think about it like that if you want to play this intuitively. And then you fold into it on the other side. I feel like a lot of this is often going to take me a few tries to get right, but we can do it. And we need to find the appropriate moment to do that. Yeah, because when you step on it, that gives you the bounce activation. And you can do with it as you please. You have just enough room to run off the platform. You also have just enough room to stay on slightly and then jump it. So it's when you're on the platform that you're within activation range. But here you would want to do a quick jump over to this and go over. Nope, going a little too far. I don't want to go that far. And I don't want to get bounced to the left either. Whoop, there we go. Hang on. There we go. Nope, almost. Yeah, you want to anticipate the jump a little bit in segments like that, because you know that the bounce is going to follow stepping on the platform very slightly. I actually don't know what the mechanism is yet, and you'll have to explain it to me, or we'll see the lava level kind of drop at the end and see it ourselves. Look at the left side over here. That looks suspicious. Nope, there's nothing there. Okay, dash panels. Dash panels followed by jump over. Long jump should hit the question blocks and hits the pokey, I think. Whoops. Did I miss that? That was unfortunate. No way should I have missed that. Okay. So we know how this works now. You just step on it and run. Like that. Very clean. That 50 coin is teasing me. And then we just need to find the rhythm. Press that properly. Hang on. There we go. Whoops. This doesn't quite reach. I was kind of curious about this, but I assumed that the up pipe would be just a little beyond range. Hang on. Let's try it again. I know how to do this. We're just not executing it right. There we go. You get just enough range in that diagonal to do that. But if you step on this, there's also a regular rhythm to it, which you can then follow and predict. Somewhat. Just need to get behind the beat a little bit. So, it does pay occasionally to just stand on one of those bounce pads, the mushroom platforms, to get a sense of what the rhythm is going to be. Do you want to get rid of that right away? And then run it. Whoops. Hang on. Let's do a second. Oh, nope. Close one there. There we are. It's all about holding jump at the right time. I am doing it still a little bit early. You can just land on it while holding jump. Oh. I guess that makes sense, yeah. That's what the tip is. Well, I was still doing it my own way. But... No, I did find that out earlier, because you can just hold jump into it and it doesn't register as an initial jumping activation. It's more that, like, once you kind of reset into it, then... There you go. And yeah, just kind of maintain momentum going into that. Hang on. Yeah, much too absorbed in doing things the hard way as usual. And then... yeah, you'd still need a little bit more momentum going into this though, which is why I feel like doing it the other way is fine. Here we go. And we'll pop this guy. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, we don't want to go high on this one, we just want to jump directly. And we want left to right momentum. And there we are. And that's a lot more accurate. And that's checkpoint with 3 coins in tow. Don't know if we've missed anything yet, but we seem okay. Whoa, nope. Should have thought about that. That's why there's a checkpoint there. Trying to slide into that without enough momentum. We needed to pound a little further to the left here. I probably could have just sailed directly over, looking at this. Whoops. There we go. Much better. And then I totally missed that. Missed my opportunity, I think. Unless the blasters will take me up. I think, though, we might have missed it. Unless... yeah, there's definitely something that you can hit with a question block. I think I needed that bounce to do it. You know what? I think I'll actually take the death to do this a second time. Because the question block should not be too hard to reach. Okay. Hang on. There we go. There we are. Much better. Then, come over here. Hang on. Nope, that's not quite right. There we go. 1 up. Very well earned. Probably if we continue to sit on this, there will be another exclamation block activation. Nope. Sit on this a little more. Yeah, there we go. Well, yeah, we'll come over here. We'll activate it twice. Then we'll figure out how to get back over there. That's pretty simple. Probably just a stomp so we can get right through. And then we need to sneak under over here so we can dunk. No way to go over that, I don't think. And what do we have here? Yeah, we can bounce this guy. Then we need to sneak under him. Or we can just slide into him, right? Okay. And we have a boom boom. Now, on-off switch would just dunk him. If I'm not... oh, no. Never mind. It's over the platform. We are able to sneak over to his left side then. Well, interesting use of the boom boom, just as an obstacle. Trying his hardest to be a thwop. They just can't manage to cling to the ceiling and remain levitated. Poor boom boom. Whoop. Okay, gotta be careful here. We'll grab this one. nothing on that side yet. I feel like we needed an additional exclamation block or something over here, right? Unless we just wall jump through it, but I don't think we can. Oh, okay. That's pretty good, I have to say. There's a little lava level fake out. Okay. We need to get over here and then, whoops, that's not what I meant. I meant get it on top of the blasters and then long jump my way over. That was the obvious thing to do. Very nice hidden block. I approve. Yeah, we do need to get the boost here to get the last block. Or, well, I mean, we could also just high jump into it. Yeah, as you can see, these blocks are spawning something that is entity blocked as well. Oh, what? Nope. Hang on. There we go. Nope, that was a total miss. We'll try it again. There we are. And now we do it again to actually get upstairs. Or we just bounce over here. That works too. Oh, whoops. Excellent shot from that guy. Not so excellent jumping from player. There we go, nice and smooth. Kind of wonder about the speed record on this. We'll check it afterwards. Oops. Okay, now let's get back over. Yeah, I am kind of curious about the underlying mechanism, but we'll find that out with time, I'm sure. You know what, why don't I just do this once again? Not paying attention today. Yeah, you see this bottom left nook over here. I think that's one of the mechanism locations within range, perhaps. Okay, I have to be careful not to step on the stems of these guys. Okay, so we jump into the car and we jump out of the car. That's what cars are for. Luckily, the car will survive that kind of incident. And that's the last coin. What was I even looking for here? I was trying to slow down here to see where that skip squeak was taking me. That's okay. You decide for speedrun as you always try to do. Exactly. No, I know that with your levels, I do expect that first cycle on the obstacles is usually timed to be quite playable. Okay, through we go. And what do we have here? Let's continue. And this time let's stay on this side so we can do this properly. Okay, managed to get that for once. And back down we go. Yeah, so a long jump here freezes you in this position. And you get a secret skip squeak. Key? Nope. Just skip squeak. Well, no, of course there's no key. It's spawning from the block. It's the principle of the thing. Yeah, I guess if we take the dash panel... Do we want to hit these question blocks in the middle? I'm not convinced that we do. I feel like that's maybe a bit of a trap. Because this should be timed in such a fashion that we can go right off the tip. Nope. I don't know why I did that twirl. That was obviously going to throw off my timing. That's okay, we know how everything works up to that point, so not too concerned. I haven't even looked at the clear rates for most of these levels. And they would, of course, be distorted by A, their popularity, and B, the secret hunting, but it's always kind of interesting to look at those just out of curiosity. We'll do that afterwards, as we will with the speed time as well. Don't know if anyone's really intent on speedrunning these this year. I know Alien Dread last year was just scooping up as many records as possible on stream. For one. Oops. No, you know what? I keep doing this. I keep thinking I'll make the long jump the second time. And that's not the point at all, given that the long jump was supposed to hit the block that was on corner at the top left of that platform. So, old habits die hard sometimes. And yeah, once again, as a matter of principle, we'll knock this out. Notice that most blocks were at entity limit throughout this level, but of course in that case we killed the purple skip screw from below and changed it into its heavenly form instead. The tree. Now, if you climb all the way back to the start, I bet you can get that 50 coin that's at the beginning of the level. Except now, without the shell available there, I can't actually climb over to the left, can I? But if you were to grab that 50 coin, I bet that's the way to do it. If it's actually feasible. I don't think we're actually going for it. But you never know. Oh, okay. I don't know if there's anything down there other than the text. But I guess we'll never see the bottom right. And there's a heart that takes you through a door. The pipes, I assume, won't take you anywhere because they just spew coins. Yeah, very dazzling little dance there. And being a warp block, you're only going to get it once. Also, yeah, I guess the spiny shell reverts back to position, so you can't actually go back for it unless you went quickly. I wasn't looking at the early parts of the level, like the clear pipes and such, closely enough to know if the 50 coin early on was actually approachable. It might not be. Poor kitty. That's okay. It's a trade-off. You don't get to climb the flag at the end, but you get the next best thing. Or perhaps something even better. Let's see how high we can go on a flagpole if we take this. 800. Okay. I was curious. Still thinking about that 50 coin at the start of the level. Not surprised to see Meng grab the current record on this one. And we'll see if that holds. I'm curious about your clear time too then. 59 seconds, so Meng got it slightly ahead of it. And who knows if that will stand. You should add something up here. I have no idea where, but that's the magic of reading the comments. This guy had a good time with the car. How does that contraption even work? I mean, it's got to be by proximity, right? If it's stepping on a bounce platform. I mean, we saw that later on there were definitely some activations of things like the exclamation blocks that seem to imply. I'm just thinking about what's going to be surviving off screen under the lava. Let me take a look at more info again. Of course, the lava is going to occlude a lot of this stuff, but notice the artwork in the banner. Loading, please wait. 7 MMC. Now, I don't know if the UU screen is actually accessible. No, I feel like the entire top half is just part of inaccessible text, but I could always be wrong. Yeah, so I think the switching mechanism would definitely be proximity under lava. Like, I don't know if it's done with side thwomp or something. Yeah. top half isn't accessible. Given the amount of space that you have with the lava level being so low, I assumed it was something like a side thwomp. Because then you would have some drag on the lava as well, right? That would affect its timing. But I'm not really sure. Yeah. Yeah, because the lava drag would affect its movement back and forth as well. Hence the timing interval that you're working with. Okay, thank you for that, Luca. Let's take a look at, I believe we're on number 6 now? Let me take a look here to see how much is left. That was number 6. We're going to number 7, which is going to be Goom Busters, so... This is going to be Loop and Snoop's contribution. And I'm sure it's doing Goom Busters. Let's take a look. Invisible Goombas sleeping in your bed. Who you gonna call? Goom Busters, presumably. Look at the thumbnail image, by the way. Oh, I see, because it's the Goombas not allowed sign surrounded by music notes. But if you look at it, it's kind of like the 8th notes are its protruding arms, and it's like this kind of Goomba boss monster that has arisen from the dead. That's what it looked to me at first, anyway. It totally looked like the music notes were arms. And that he's kind of doing a little dance, right? Doing a little shuffle. Anyway, here's a music platformer. Goom Busters. Now this will be interesting because I feel like I saw a Ghostbusters music level from Green Heroes not very long ago. I think I actually didn't beat that one because it was a really long one that I picked up at the end of one of my streams. Anyway, we're obviously going to grab the shell and pop it over and decide. What's up here? No sound effect even. Very unfortunate. Wait, what do we do with this door here? Oh, it must be a reset in case you lose the shell, right? Let's take a look. Oh, no, okay, it just drops you. Hang on. What was the pipe for, then? Let's do this again. I guess the pipe would have been an optional route, then, for something like a coin. So, kind of misreading what would be the main route and side route here. Because, yeah, it is possible to lose the shell in the bottom left, so that's why you would know that this is not a required path. Okay. And then P-switch maze. Just a little bonus room. I don't see any pink coins here, so... Oh. And you have something here that you can also whip if you take the shell with you. So you would need to bust things down with the shell, and then you would need to take it with you, or... Because we have busted down the blocks already, we can go back to the shell. Hang on, we're not doing this way. We're going to pop it. So you would need to stop the shell before it careens. Nope, hang on. It's not going to go, hang on. We're going to do it. We'll take the shell in. Can't be something like a leaf or whatever this early in the level. And yeah, a couple of different ways to lose the shell, of course. Just have to think about stopping it. No, hang on. That's not right. Let's kill the Goombas first, maybe. Bust some Gooms. Okay, so we need to bust one block, but then we need to stop the shell. There we go. Almost go. Okay, we just needed to hang right at the very end, and that would have been it. So that is totally the path. Very considerate to put a little task like this right at the beginning of the level for anybody who wants to start over. I actually don't feel like it's likely to be anything that interesting. Got 3 pink coins here. Got something spawning from that question block. Let's pop that first. And beat this guy up yet again. Going to follow it down, take it with us, and then pop the shell. Also, if the shell reactivates at some point, we need to be aware of that. If it starts shaking. Okay, here we are. Very nice. Okay, just a bonus item. As a little power-up. We will take the shell with us. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of item check as we drop in, but we'll see what it is. There is no item check. But there are plenty of other opportunities to grab shells, so I'm sure that just doesn't matter. Although you can always take your time to grab stuff like this, because after all, this is going to be a global loop. Even a global loop and snoop, perhaps. And perhaps the shellmet will be useful for something by the end. Look at this thing here, too. Anyway. What's that going to be? Just mushroom, okay. Very generous power-ups all over the place then, which we may or may not need for the secrets path. Interestingly enough, maybe you could fly... no, because it's a door drop at the beginning, right? So... because I was wondering... yeah, no, you can't actually exit that way. I wouldn't have expected that. You could. We better get out of the way before this crushes everything. Including myself. Well, so much for a shellmet. I could have bumped it using the shellmet, in fact. But we have the leaf, so we can do anything we like. I feel like we were able to escort that, then. And if you escort the spike all the way over, then perhaps you're able to do something to bust up the point up here, unless it's something that you need to bomb out from up top. But I feel like we missed something with the spike ball. Where, yeah, the spike ball was supposed to blow up this thing here. You get to the on-off switch early enough, you tag this with the tail as it's going over, and you escort the spike ball over to the right side. And some of this stuff I think we'll have to explore on further replays just to understand it properly, but perhaps the green pipe loops you back around to Joint 1. We'll have to replay it. There's a lot we haven't seen yet. Look at this bit on the left here with the spike ball. It's there just to block the Bowser fire, actually. That's its entire purpose. We've seen a couple of mechanisms like that before to control projectiles, but it's always fun to see. Yeah, not much room to fly in a level like this, obviously. And quite a few path options available to us if you... yeah, you'd want a leaf, but we already expended the leaf, so we would just need to come back down here instead. That's a pretty trivial coin. I feel like we broke something rhythmically, but that's okay. Oops. Now, what are we doing down here? Skewers are going to bust everything up. I feel like we can go up top, actually. You've entered the warp zone. No, you haven't. It's the wall. Oh, let's let that go. And, okay, that allows you to grab that coin. Whoops, and that woke up. And there's something else that you can hit on the top right as well. Anyway, we know what to do with the spike ball this time. It only requires the leaf, and we know how to get that because there is a mushroom ahead of time. Oh no, this is past a checkpoint already, so we're thinking about the first segment. And yeah, oh, that's how it's supposed to look. It's supposed to do something fancy for you. Imagine that. Come on, leaf. Wait, we're gonna get outpaced here. And I continue to get outpaced. Hang on. We can totally grab it. What a chase. Okay, so we can grab this. That's 3 coins. And then that opens up. Now, I guess you want the on state then. And you want to exit this way. And everything is in 1 key coin segment, so this is the balloon. Or what passes for 1. And Mamuga, yeah. 7 years. It's like the, I don't know, entirety of the run of Star Trek: The Next Generation. The entirety of Harry Potter's time in Hogwarts. A lot of things can happen in 7 years. But that's correct. Now, ice blocks down here. We never had anything like a Firefly. Oh, no, this is just meant to be a bit of a graphic design if you look at it, that you've got 2 monstrous eyes and arrows for teeth, and it's been snacking on an ice lolly or something. It's all the ice blocks. Yeah, actually, if you look at some of the environment design here, a lot of it is meant to evoke the ghosts that you're supposed to be busting. Okay, we're playing a bit sloppy here. That's what auto-scrolls are for. And mushroom here, I feel like that's some kind of detector. Except, we came in here... no, it's not a progressive object. I think it's just there as a seesaw weight. We'll see. I was thinking about my power-up state coming into this area. Link time travel 7 years, that's right. Only to discover that Ganon has done away with all of his amiibo costumes. His most precious belongings. I feel like maybe this is a kill-all segment using entity limits, but yeah, that's absolutely correct. And of course I discovered that just as I spawned a leaf and lost access to it. There's got to be a real balloon, and I bet it's something that I have to access using the leaf. Or maybe not. Did we actually see everything? I don't think I saw like 7MMC text, did I? Hang on. Yeah, people who know this level do let me know if I have missed additional secrets, because I think this was one of those levels that Loop just wanted to design with a comfortable and flexible traditional style safety margin for the player, hence a lot of the access to power-ups that don't actually break open very much, but give you a bit more mechanical flexibility. And some bonus stuff like 30 coins and other things along the way, so... Definitely something we don't see often enough in Mario Maker levels that have a lot of mechanical complexity to them. Just being able to give the player a little extra. Junior to the balloon. Do we need to kill Junior? Is that the idea here? Because, yeah, there are definitely like green balloons and yellow balloons up top that we didn't see. That looks like a bonus segment if you take a look at the part above Junior. And it looks like something that we just didn't see at all, did we? Well, if Junior to the balloon, yeah, we're going to replay it. Because Junior was at the left, and he was firing at the spike ball, and I didn't actually think about what we could do with him. We also didn't bust the pipe at the first section, which I noticed much earlier. The pipe that you have to open up using the spike block and the state switching. So that's probably the thing that we need to do. Junior is the balloon. Oh, I don't know. That's usually not how I understand arrows. Hey, we're going to do this again, just to make a mess of it. Okay, maybe we don't need the Shelmet after all. The Shelmet would have been useful for maybe doing some extra placement manipulation on the Spike Ball when we spawned it, but I don't think it's actually necessary because we did manage to get the Spike Ball as far as the on-off switching elements earlier, and using the Tanuki Leaf to do the state switch should probably by itself be enough, but just for style points, we're going to see if we can last with the Spike Ball, and we're not going to, so. Or rather, with the Buzzy Helmet. So yeah, so this is the... No, Junior was in the next section. Okay, so... But I'm sure there's something we can do with him. Whoops, that was a bad idea. I was trying to get the jump on that before any further switch activation. I totally misread that. Let's be honest. Nope. Keep missing that every time. And now we're stuck here. That's okay. We'll drop back down. We will miss the Shalmet. And the 1-up. But yeah, the Spike Ball pipe is the main thing that I can think of that was very obviously missed. Whoops. We'll need to whip that with something else, but we've got plenty of Koopa shells to work with. In this very flexibly scrolling segment. Oh, very nice of the mushroom to just bounce out of the way like that. Okay, good. If we keep the leaf and get over to the Spike Ball spawn, let's clear some space ahead of time so we know what we're doing. We do need to get this out. Spike Ball is going to bust that down, so we don't need to be too fussed about it, but we want the state to start with on, because then we only need to do one switch press to cart things over afterwards. So, let's lead it over. And we'll get ahead of it a little bit. And let's not miss. Good. Alright, let's see what this is all about. Okay, so we need to hit the left side here. Oh. Well, that's not Junior, that's just Boom Boom. Nice little bonus room item selection, by the way. That's a neat way to do it. That's because of the track drop, all of the items that you can spawn have been marked with objects directly on top of the blocks, just from the synchronized track drop. And nice way to do an optional bonus. We see so few efforts to emulate those kinds of really flexible traditional style principles in Mario Maker that always comes as a bit of a surprise. I feel like we can probably just go on top, right? Or not. So, Junior equals Balloon. What do we do with Junior, then? Is there a POW that we can take back here? I'm not sure there is. But if there were, you could unstack the Boo. If there were, you could definitely unstack the Boo. Let's think about that. Oh, Frog Suit. Interesting. Not what I expected. Nice way to do an instrument change, actually. A secret instrument change using the Frog Suit. That's a very nice touch. And then you can get it to shut up, too. Okay. We'll check the pipes here and there, of course. We'll run this pretty carefully. Yeah, I don't even remember if there was something like access to a POW, but there are one-way panels that would preclude me from going back after a certain point. Unless the skewers are able to bust this down, in which case maybe something can be done. Nope, it's not. But if you take this platform up and... Whoa, nope. I was hoping to get off of it in time, but I guess you aren't actually given that opportunity, so... Unfortunately, we are stuck on this side, and we will not have a way to get through. Unless there is a fire flower that allows me to bust the ice blocks, which Maybe the case. I mean, this looks awfully suspicious, doesn't it? Yeah, that's gonna crush everything, and that's just the exit over here. So what was there? This is just a spawning pipe then, I guess. Oh, yeah, and then we take it to activate the switch. Well, if Junior equals balloon, we're definitely missing something. We've gotten coins before, we've seen the balloon room before, whoops. Busted that down. I mean, the only thing I can think of, though, is if Junior reveals some kind of key, and that would be redundant with the 3-coin key, so... You're telling me Junior equals balloon. I mean, there's a pretty obvious way we can deal with Junior, which is... Oh, you know what? You can use the fire to melt the ice. If you lead the fire over, you can melt the ice as much as you want, and then you can double back. Yeah, so that's the way to do it, is you follow the fire. And Il Quarry, welcome. Thanks for the follow. It's been a while. So yeah, you actually just lead Junior and lead the fire over. That's what the ice is for. But you need to be a little bit more on target. There's a particular angle that you need. A firing angle that allows Junior to blow everything up. Probably here, right here. Yeah, that's what it is. And you just follow everything over, which will then unlock everything up to the skewer as well, and beyond. Now, given that ice blocks do not directly interact with scroll break, I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to work. I feel like we needed to get these skewers to punch everything out, and then come back for another round of fire, but we'll see. That's a nice secret mechanism. I was wondering about those ice blocks, given that we've seen everything up to and including the frog suit, but certainly no fire flower. Whoa, look at that. I thought it spawned ahead of time. In time for me to drop in on top of the Goomba split there, but it's clearly not the case. Anyway, having some more mushroom spawns here. There's a wide variety of power-up spawning mechanisms all over this level. Okay, I feel like we needed the fire to go further. Yeah, because it would lead to some kind of a braking mechanism that we need on the other side, so... Let's just spawn more fire if we can. So we just have as much to work with as we can. No, that didn't work out. So the main thing is playing around the skewer area. We'll see if we need a key at the end, because then if we do, we'll need some kind of fast path or key doors. Okay, let's try to catch up to the fire. There we go. Might light up a bomb for the scroll break, in fact. Or maybe you just needed to... Ah, yes, it unlocks the pipe. Okay. Good, so even if you take your sweet time over here, it's within range for the pipe to open up accordingly. And then you get as many shells as you need for the on-off switch. Okay, quite like this secret's placement. Pretty happy with it. And that's how Junior gives you the balloon. What even is that? Well, I mean, maybe something out of Poke Floats. It totally is something out of Poke Floats. Look at it, because it's a Pokeball on the right side. I suppose this is... oh, it's Bidoof. Yeah, that's right, that's right. That's the 7MMC meme for those of you who actually know your Pokemon. So I was correct in estimating that it was something out of Poke Floats, even though I don't know if it was in the original Poke Floats stage. Oh, okay. I'm actually a little let down by that. I was hoping to fight them. But anyway, here's a cake and a balloon with the little Among Us thing here. I love that blaster coming in for those of us who like to stall and stare at things and leave comments or whatever. Let's see what was in this room. Ah, Looney was here. Well, not for long, Looney, after that blaster jump scare. Very sus indeed. Okay, now I feel satisfied. I'm guessing... I didn't even look at the dunk there carefully. I'm guessing that Ludwig was inaccessible there. Ah, right, and this is just a kill all entity check. If you waited enough, that blaster came back to actually crush you. Well, those wouldn't be loop-like locking principles now, would they? Originally. I guess that was hotly debated among the playtesters. Whoops. We are going to see this level through to completion again, of course. Because, why not? You see, if you kept that, 100% chance I would have gotten caught by it myself. 100% chance. Like, there's no way I don't stop and stare in the cake room. Especially after first jump scare, which would basically just tell me, ha ha ha, I fooled you. Anyway. Let's go down here. Do the split. And out we go. Nice little gating mechanism here at the end, too. And that's the end of it. Okay. Fun times. I only just noticed that the balloons at the end say GG as well, so we'll take that. GG. Yeah, Loop already spending his administrative vetoes in week 1 to publish a level that does not kill you twice. With the, well, or rather, swing the blaster at you twice. Anyway, one left to go, and it's going to be the Troll. So thank you for the GGs. Yeah, we'll probably just make this a 7MMC only stream today. It's going to be shorter than usual for my broadcast. I usually run to about 4 hours. Today we might finish under 3, but we'll see. And I know that usually, because today is typically a viewer level day, that would tend to go much longer, but we'll see if that's feasible. I'm thinking that we'll probably just do 7MMC and leave it at that, though. But we'll decide depending on how long the troll takes. It is meant to be an introductory troll. Very gentle one, and who knows how short it's going to be. 37-second record, but that doesn't tell you anything because of the way troll solutions often work. Oh, we were going to check some time or something on one of these other levels, right? I don't remember. I think I was kind of curious about the clear rates. We can look at the clear rates. They're not going to tell us very much at this early stage. Yeah, very gentle week 1. It's kind of interesting to see a 3% from Tino, because I felt like traditionally, especially early on, Tino's levels were all either 1% or 70%. And both ends of the spectrum were great, just to be perfectly clear. Yeah, 5% seems like it was the kind of target Nugukaza wanted to hit, and I think that was very accurate. Yeah, because we've kind of had that discussion before about other P-Balloon levels in terms of the technical requirement to kind of aim for 5%-ish. And the 3%, yeah, people generally seem to get the mechanic, I think. Generally. Happiest trolls for the best community. Let's see what the long description says. Simple, introductory troll level for players that aren't familiar with the genre. And it says have fun. Just to get your feet wet with the inclusion of trolls in the anniversary events for the first time. Because it seems like 7MMC did explicitly set out with a mission to do more community genre coverage. And that's the mole. I bet we can bounce it. Obviously, you know, you're kind of given a chance here. Yeah. Check that out and see what can be done. I don't think you can really place it such that you can get on top of the mole in any meaningful fashion. And spike over here. Donut block over here. And look at that. It's an SD lock, although it's a troll level, so we expect as much. Can I just come up here? No, I guess not. I've got to say, I'm curious. Worth checking. Okay, let's try it again. Let's dodge accurately this time. So, I think we need to drop the donut block and then get back out and then get in through the seesaw once the mole comes in. Yeah, there we go. It's pretty much Troll Logic 101, and that's Troll Logic 102. Where you don't just rush into things. Okay, let's try it again. And then this time we'll be aware of the activation. No reason to go up there, given the one-way panels. And let's see what we can get done this time. I guess that was supposed to be an escort, because you need a mole to hit this thing here. Yep. So, instinctively killing that was not the best idea. And I don't think we'll have another way out of here, although can I... Well, I can't always take death here. Yeah, it looks like we just dragged a mole over and... Whoops. And we'll have this in no time. Now, balloon placement is going to be an interesting thing to think about in the context of a simple draw. Okay, so, yeah, we want the mole to come out, and then we wanted to bounce something. A big mole coming this way. That allows me to go up. I don't think it allows me to really do anything else. And you've got a mole up here, you've got a door up here. Okay. I wonder what the other mole over there is about, but we'll think about that. Checkpoint over here, and yeah, if you stare at this long enough, it's going to do that little spawning mechanism, which is kind of a neat thing to look at. That's why Monty Moles are one of the most versatile elements in the game. You know, I keep going for that instinctively, and I guess that's precisely the kind of thing a level like this trains you not to do. Yeah, as soon as you get there, you're within range, so it's very snappy. Setup over here. We can get in here with the P-switch still active, and I don't know if that affects anything at all. But we'll find out. Whoops, totally missed that. Oh, that was embarrassing. Okay. Over here. And down. And once again, we'll just get the P-switch going. No special reason. Come on, drag it. Oh, come on. Yeah, interesting to look at those ice blocks down there. I feel like we're going to see to make a comeback at some point. You can kind of go around that. But it's better to maybe stay low and let it spring over you. There's a particular location that will permit that. So we'll just go back and try to navigate that accordingly. Alright. Dunk that once again. Very nice of that bumper to provide some extra security. I feel like that bumper is there to tell you, in a serious troll level, he would not have survived. I feel like it's explicitly trying to send you that message. But, lesson learned, we hope. And, whoops, no. I was trying not to hit that, but, you know, we'll see. Interesting to see that the troll seems to be one of the most liked levels in this week's set, probably because the Baker himself has a very large following. I don't really know the Simple Troll series. I'm not really familiar with this Baker's previous work, so somebody else can fill me in accordingly. It seemed like it was something of a runaway success. Okay, checkpoint. And we have a thwomp over there. We have this one-way panel over here. Possibly it's disguising something. It's not disguising something. We would have seen the seam of the semi-solid if there were something protruding there for my benefit. And then, yeah, so you do need to not be bullied out by that. It's interesting that the spacing of the thwomp kind of encourages you to test out that location a little bit. Because, you know, you see the thwomp and you just naturally assume that you're going to have to test it out to see what's going on, even if you do notice that it isn't a night theme. Anyway, I knew something was going to hit that. It was a matter of deciding, is it going to be me, or is it going to be something else, but... yeah, so it gets you within the activation box, where... I unfortunately am not one of the people who can just jump off of a POW drop in a location like that, so... we will not be doing things that way. You know what? Let's just not go there at all. Let's fire to POW immediately, in fact, because that should... yep. Get that kill. That prevents the P-switch from being activated. I feel like going for the 50 coin is a bad idea, and that's something we'll project towards you, because the mole is going to do some work. Claw drop is what it is, and the parachute is the thing to be aware of, because timing-wise, assuming a straight drop there is definitely not going to get you very far. We can always see what the 50 coin is all about, just to kind of have a better sense of the mechanics in the game. Oh, whoops. A little too late on that. You are supposed to kill the mole when it is starting to unburrow. Very nuanced interaction there when it comes to when... oh, yeah, no, the issue there was that I was throwing the POW into the spring column, upon which it will not activate, as we know from past experience. I've seen many levels that use that effectively, not all of them trolls. Yeah, so that's what happens, because you're kind of within the minimum bounds where you're not able to jump above that. That's pretty much exactly what I expected. in terms of how that was going to go. But yeah, lots of mole surprises all over the place here. Okay. What is this? That's what it is. Okay. Well, now we know. Yeah, because I was looking at it and thinking, if I jump immediately into it, what is the risk of doing that instead? Because you never know. I mean, one way or the other, if you're going to pick one direction, it might activate some mechanism. It's just a matter of figuring out what as you traverse each segment. So, we'll go back, we'll try it again. Okay. Nope, too far. Didn't mean to overshoot by that sizable margin. So, we'll just try things again. Yeah, I guess instinctively, because you have more space on the right, the general player psychology would be to just throw to the right and hope things work out. So, yeah, troll makers do put a lot of work into making estimates like that. I guess you needed to kill that sooner. I mean, this is clearly going to be engaged and off, so... yeah. On-off switch is going to do that. I think you just need to double tap it. Or... well, we'll see, because you're kind of within a mole range at that point. And then that releases, and then you just need to spin over it. Which would be the sensible thing to do. Now, entering the next segment, I don't know if the on-off state is going to be something controlled, but you've got a pretty vast segment over here with lots of keys. And lots of things pointing to a key. Keys all over the place, as if to signal that you want a key. Straight up, that tells me let's avoid the keys, but... I mean, we can always see what that's about, but we'll try it keyless first, just to see what's going on. Okay, so that's what it is. And that's just a straight drop. Interesting. So what's the trick over here? I mean, we haven't seen the balloon room yet, so it might be worth it to go back and grab some keys just to see if anything kind of auto-kills you. Yeah, having the mushroom is going to be necessary there. Then we no longer have something to stand on, do we? So it's like this is its own little puzzle room in itself then, perhaps. If we need, perhaps, a thrown object to do this one. Or anything like that. Yep, okay, I thought it might be something like that. Well, we know how to get a key near the end, at least. It feels like all of the other keys up to that point would be unobtainable. That... it seems like doing the keys at the end would be the balloon road. And because the exit has been sorted out already. Yeah, because like this probably traps you with something. Yeah, because it just gets in proximity with the POW. I mean, we already know how to get one key. I'm just kind of scanning around to see what the mechanisms are. We'll kind of get a sense of what the level is going to do to us. Because it feels like every key here is going to joke around with you. And we know how to get the actual one already. Notice how we did a state switch, and that blocks that off. A second state switch, however, would reverse that. And would allow me access. So we just need to be aware of the wrench as we come back over here then. And we do need the mushroom in the previous room, that we know. Biggest cook. Hope you've been enjoying these levels in your own right. And so yeah, the only thing the on-off switch affects is whether there's a blaster block over here. There's nothing else going on with that, by the looks of it. Okay, so let's... No, we didn't want to do that. We wanted to grab the mushroom, and I'm trying to recall how we managed to do it in that room, because I wasn't really paying attention. I think we just needed to wait, or head back towards the same door that we came in through. There was something over here, I just don't recall what it was. And yeah, we know not to stand there. There's a lot of different memory tricks to keep in mind. That's really what trolls are going to do to you. Anyway. So we know we can get the mushroom coming out of this segment. I think we just duck in here, we go around, and then, yeah, mushroom flies out this way. We take damage on this end, and then we take the key door. And then we'll see what happens. Looks like the other door spits you back out. Balloons? Yay. Even more balloons? Well, let's see what this is all about. And there's a door on the top right. Okay. A lot of perfectly reasonable balloons that aren't going to do anything to trick you out. I kind of wonder if there's going to be some kind of balloon-related check on the other side of the door, or if it just drops you out where you came in. I mean, clearly, I doubt the level would just let you keep the balloon all the way to the end. Oh, okay. That's directly where it goes. So the other door earlier was just for decoration then. Interesting how, yeah, if you finish it with a balloon, you just wind up inside the block. Very clean. Okay. Let's take a look at the comments, but I believe that is the end of 7MMC Week 1. Pretty gentle, all doable within the space of about 3 hours. With all secrets so far, so kind of a quick, efficient section. Session, rather. You know you found a good troll level when you fall for the first troll right at the start. Look at this guy, really eager to say that to the extent of excising all the spaces from the message. And yeah, it's meant to be a first troll for people. Look at Barnstorm. You know, this, what is it, Rage Face or whatever. I don't know if Barnstorm is still here, but this Rage Face thing feels like it's much older than 7 years. I feel like it was already kicking around the internet long before Mario Maker 1. So, the real troll here is that the Rage Face is much older than 7. Unlike the Monty Mole on which its head has been mounted. And yeah, so pretty good start to this year's celebration. It will be continuing to do this every week. For people who are accustomed to viewer levels being in this slot, we're going to move it to another day, and I haven't quite determined what day that will be yet, because this week I'm also pretty busy with the Splatoon 3 campaign, which we started streaming yesterday. For those of you who want to join in on that, we're still going to continue in World 3 at some point this week. We finished World 1 and 2 yesterday. And I've also been playing a lot of the Table Turf card game inside Splatoon, and that's something that I might want to stream at some point, because I've been doing it quite seriously and figuring it out bit by bit. Mario Maker-wise, though, we'll try to find some kind of replacement day for viewer levels, probably the Friday PM, Saturday AM stream, so that would be yesterday, your time. And we'll see if we can kind of make that a regular thing again, because we used to run the queue on that day too. The reason we're running a 7MMC On the Saturdays, as I said at the beginning of the stream, is that we have a pretty significant overlap between my regular audience and the makers in the project, and the Saturdays are the day of release when they want to see me attempt to break stuff. So, if you want to keep up with the scheduling, please drop by the Discord. And for those of you playing Splatoon, if you, given the new lobby system, if you want to exchange friend codes or anything, I'm open to that too. I usually don't just publish mine publicly, but if you let me know who you are and where you are, I certainly don't mind having you in my lobby. Until then, though, that's it for announcements and other business. We'll just call this a short stream this week, and we'll continue with lots more a week from now when the next set is released. So, for the time being, we're going to exit out and we're going to look for a raid. If anybody has raid suggestions, particularly anybody who is also running 7MMC at this time, do pop them in. Otherwise, I will just send you to another Mario Maker channel somewhere. In some other weeks when we end this early, if I can continue to stream much longer to do a viewer level queue, I will do that. I can't do that today, but next week it might be possible. So, and Mamuga, I appreciate the suggestion very much, although of course that would be much like a snake eating its own tail, or an Ouroboros as it were. And this is, unfortunately, neither something circular nor a Xenoblade 3 stream. So, I'm going to look around, we'll see who to pop you to, but in the meantime, thanks for watching, thanks for coming by, thanks especially to Chichiri for the raid earlier, and anybody who came in with Octopus Cove. I hope you had a great time on both streams today. Have a great week ahead. Enjoy these levels, whether you're playing them for the first time, or if you're going back for more, for speedruns or whatever. Have a wonderful week playing and making ahead of you. And, as always, God save the king, and fare thee well.